We are today talking about the debate of kingmaking. Should you kingmake? Is there ever a good time to kingmake? Is it always poor sportsmanship? Or is it an inevitable part of every gaming meta? Before we get into this and I turn it over to Paul, let me just give you a quick explanation of what kingmaking is. Kingmaking is when you are not going to win the game, and more than one person has the chance at winning, and you
are in position
to decide who wins the game. Should you play always to win, which will often make someone else win, right?
Sure.
So let's say if you always take the best move for you, but that best move for you happens to hurt one of the two players in the lead, allowing the other one to win, then you are kingmaking even though you may be following the rules. Or should you
make a choice?
Make a choice. And what's the difference? And now we get into the sticky part of gaming and the moral side of gaming. And Paul is going to walk us through this as we debate.
Walk us through is,
kingmaking.
That's right. Dun, dun, dun.
You're going to walk us through the swampy forest of misery that is the kingmaking discussion.
It's sticky because this is, this affects your game dynamic, your game group dynamic.
Before we get into it, can I actually make a recommendation?
Sure.
Will you open with a story? Will you tell us the story
when this became
of you and Ben Hoyt playing a game and this was brought up? I think that's the best way to illustrate the conundrum of kingmaking.
Let me give you the first one, which was actually with with Trey, Tom, myself, and Dimitri. And this is
tell us a story, Uncle Paul.
So about 6 years ago, I think we were playing the game The Great Zimbabwe. I believe that's what it's called. Right?
Splatter game, very very heavy, wonderful game.
Tom loved this game. I'm okay with it. And we got to this point where I was not going to win. And it was between Tom and Trey. This is how I remember it. It might have been a little different. And now I realized, I can do this and Tom will win, and I can do this and Trey will win.
Yeah. And
what I said was hey guys, I could do this and you'll win, Tom. and so I feel like I'm in this decision I have this decision where I get to choose, or I can do this and neither of I don't affect either outcome.
Right.
And then there was this discussion of we got into, I wouldn't say heated, but it was it was really Tom talking about his position. I think he was in the lead, and he was most likely going to win, and he was arguing you should blah blah blah, and Trey is going you should really play your best game. And I'm going it's this aspect where there's a part of me that was thinking, well, I'm out of this. These two should duke it out. So do I just stop playing? Is that going to be something? And that didn't feel right to me. And then I go, well, now I get to choose who to win. And I go, well, back in those days, I go well, let me screw Tom up. He's going to be most likely to react poorly. And so,
What do you mean react poorly?
I will say that Tom does not like being betrayed. No one does. But when
it pushes a button for him.
Exactly. And Trey too. But in this particular back then, I was like, you're winning too many games, Tom. I'm gonna take this from you. I'm gonna exercise my power. I'm not a good person, people. I'm sorry.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Exactly. I'm not I'm not crazy. I'm just ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
But and so I don't know what happened. I think I might have actually picked the non-choice and just did nothing and let it fall as it will. But this became a topic that kept on coming up, where for a while at least, where what is the right thing to do? Because we want to reward play.
We reward good play, right?
But we also don't want to take away our agency. And and this this happened again with Hoyt, under a year ago. Mm-hmm. We had this discussion. We're playing, I think, Great Western Trail or something.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And something where the game was over, and then Ben was saying this is kind of bad sportsmanship, effectively. And I go, well, no. What I'm doing is
What do you remember at all? What happened?
I don't. It had something to do with me choosing to preserve table image, and so I attacked him in a way that was not to his liking, as you would suspect.
Right. So it hurt him, and it didn't really affect you.
Exactly. And then he was like, we were talking. It was civil, like for all of it, like
Yeah, it was a rational conversation about it.
But he definitely had a perspective, and my perspective was one of like, well, no, like we should all be playing like I am, and people are going to behave better that way.
Right.
And so there's I found this a very interesting discussion because
there's no right or wrong answers here.
Yeah, like
it's a real muddy water. Let's talk about the social contract here. What is the social contract that we all come to when we sit down to play a board game?
Yeah, like I think for at least for me, the social contract is we are here to play a game. We're here to, and we're going to sort of race to see who does best, and we're going to all be friends and blah, blah, blah.
We're going to play our best.
Exactly.
And we're going to play to win.
But for me, and this is where other people may differ, the true contract is like, we are here to have fun.
Right.
So we're going to facilitate our fun together. And, and that is murky because, what one person's fun, my fun is actually very different than yours. Like, I'm all about watching people like squirm, and you are all about not doing that.
Right. But at the same time, if you have a game night over and you invite a couple to your game night and the couple start playing and one member of the couple says, I'm just going to help you win because I love you. That breaks the social contract.
Absolutely.
That is not fair. That breaks the game for everybody.
Exactly. And, Kingmaking or assisting, it has various negative things. Like the simplest one is player resent, right? Like, other players are going to feel like, hey, you are doing this. That is not cool. I can't believe there would be a game group that has never experienced this. This is something that
if you've played Monopoly, you've experienced Kingmaking.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and then of course there's the eroding, as we're talking about now, eroding the integrity of the game. We all are spending our spare time and some of us not spare time. We're spending our time to do this together. Like we want to, have the purest experience of, to maximize that experience together. Yeah. And, in the long term, like what it really does is sours like a games group dynamic. That's the real, like this could destroy a game group. Like,
Kingmaking could. Yeah. Now, here's the real dilemma though, right? So, okay. The simple answer is always take moves that help you the most, right? Okay. That's the simple answer.
Sure.
If you just want the boilerplate answer here, here's how you solve Kingmaking. Every player always takes moves that benefit them.
That's the
most.
cleanest answer.
That's the cleanest, but it is not actually clean.
Yeah.
Because what if you're out of the game? And what if your best move arbitrarily makes someone else win?
Yep.
That's not clean.
There's this aspect. It reminds me of like their like free will in a way.
Yeah.
Like is there free will or is there not free will? And there's this aspect where you go, okay, well, if will is just these firing of neurons, like then causality,
right?
But like, well, it's not. The world is not completely causal. Like maybe it's sort of random. It goes, well, then now these random things happen, and now that's not free will either.
Right.
And so in this particular case,
there's definitely not free will, right? I think it's proven. There is. I don't think.
Well, in this simulation, I didn't program it.
In this simulation we're in, unfortunately, I hate to break it to you, you do not have free will.
Oh, well, there we go. I'm good.
Every word you're about to say, you have no choice in the matter.
It's already been predetermined. But in the end, like if you go with that aesthetic of like going, okay, I'm just going to maximize my move, you've already decided. You're still deciding. You're just almost giving it to this random generator of like
you're playing lawful good, but sometimes lawful good
makes wrong choices.
Does not play correctly, right? Lawful neutral is often the real lawful good because they actually have choice.
They're in the moment,
right?
And this is one of the there are pros to kingmaking. For example, like hey, it's my move. Let me do my move. Like it's my game. I'm allowed to. And it maximizes a person's fun. It could at least. And we're here to have that fun, and we're here to express our agency. And to remove someone's agency, just because, like, it makes another person feel bad. It's as you said, sticky.
So is the best thing to do if you are always, if you're playing just to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot win. And now your move that would be best for you just chaotically hurts someone else and helps another person. And they're the people who are, and you've now decided the game is the best thing to do, to figure out what to do that affects no one. And then what are we playing games for? Like,
well, that's what I had with Zimbabwe. Like,
Yeah.
I had this revelation where I was going like, I can do nothing, and then now my hands are clean.
yeah.
But
But at the same time, like if you were sitting next to a genius, the smartest person in the world, that person could inevitably watch everyone's first move and turn to you and go, "You've lost, and every action you take will only help someone else win."
yeah, but I choose not to do that.
Right. But I mean, like, how far back do we go? You know,
That
like,
is exactly that's the problem. Like, Trey has a great phrasage for this. He says, you can always defend maximizing your score.
Sure, of course. It does not break any social contracts. It is the socially safe thing to do.
But I really like his phrasing because it doesn't. He's not saying he's right.
Right.
He's saying he can defend.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Like for me,
It would hold up in a court of law. I was just doing what's best for me. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
And so, for me, I'm a person I'm probably the person most likely to kingmake. Because I'm always playing.
Because you're never in a position to win.
Thank you. I've been playing pretty poorly for the last couple months, by the way. No,
Don't make it real.
But I'm the person who's really considering the meta in most places. Like, for example,
Right.
like if someone is taking advantage of like a newbie, like they're like, oh, you should move here, blah blah blah, and oh, it gives me all these resources. Like, if I'm in a position at the end where I'm not going to win and I'm probably going to pick someone else. If someone has really played against my table image, I'm going to wind up like, okay, well, I'm going to do this even though, like, you could have won, but you played hard against me, like, in the middle of the game. So I need to make it sure that in the next game,
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. So if you know you're going to be playing with the same people every week, it's not, kingmaking then becomes a much larger thing, right?
Absolutely.
So is then like, okay, I'm going to choose Trey this time, right? If my three options are do nothing, help Trey win, or help Tom win, I've decided this game I'm going to help Trey win, right? If we're all decided to never play again,
Sure.
that's not fair. But what if Paul evenly disperses the kingmaking over a year, over 10 years?
Well,
Or what if he's tracking it perfectly in his brain?
Might have a little journal.
Is he then actually doing the most lawful good thing he could do?
Sure. Well, like my goal is to preserve the group. That's the most important thing to
Right.
me. As long as the group,
As it should be for everyone. The most important thing is the integrity of the group and everyone's overall level of enjoyment. So is Paul perfectly dispersing the misery and joy in order to keep an equilibrium
There you go.
within the group that in the long term creates the most sustainability?
well, I'm very green about this. I mean, like I know for a fact that I will kingmake when there's a beginner. Mm-hmm. I'll go like, oh, I have a choice here. This person has just started. I rather encourage this person than to make this punitive.
Right.
Is that bad sportsmanship? It doesn't. I can frame it so it doesn't sound like it, but
Right.
it goes against the contract.
You are Varys.
I am Varys.
You are Varys. Varys.
That is absolutely true.
Varys king makes
All the
but
time.
only for what's best for the realm. And if the realm is the game night, Paul is Varys. You will king make. You have an opinion on who is the best to win each game if you have the choice to make. But you're only doing so for what will keep the game night around the longest.
I mean, that is absolutely true. Like, I don't. But is that
You are not Littlefinger. Littlefinger, who is going to king make only
for his advantage?
for the overall larger meta of him winning more often. It to scare people. So, like, I'm choosing you because next game you better make sure you're so far ahead of me that I can't king make ever again,
Okay.
or else. And now I'm in your head, and now you're going to play poorly against me.
Wow. Is this, is there anyone in our group that's doing that?
No. Nobody's doing that. I mean, maybe I think those are pretty good, two good Game of Thrones examples of kingmaking, right? Or is there another form of kingmaking in Game of Thrones?
Well, let's see.
Well, okay, then you have Jon Snow, who's
always lawful good.
Right, who's kingmaking, and he's just playing his best game.
Exactly.
Right, but sometimes he'll let the bad guys win,
or let the city burn because of a dragon lady.
That's right, and sometimes he'll choose incorrectly by choosing good, quote unquote.
It's really
Game of Thrones is really killing it with the kingmaking. There's a lot of kingmaking going on in Game of Thrones.
You either win or you die, or something.
That's true. Yeah. So those are the three. I think those are your three archetypes.
Yeah.
Are you Varys, who only cares about the game group? Are you Littlefinger, who really is kingmaking to strike fear in the hearts of others in order to win future games? Or are you Jon Snow, who's just going to play his best game and might actually burn the realm down in the process? It might destroy the game group. I mean, accidentally. You don't know. It could go either way. But he'll always be able to
defend himself
and say he was doing what was best morally, in the moment.
Yeah, and that's my hard thing. The hard thing that I deal with is like, I'm a person who's willing to put my finger on the scale.
Yeah.
But I think if you choose to like remove yourself from that agency, like you're not really engaging. I mean, like,
right.
And that's a bad thing, I think. For
no choice is a choice.
Exactly. And I go like, that's, if like pony up, you
have skin in the game.
That's exactly it. Have skin in the game. Like, and the game, you're playing the board game now, you're playing the social game as well. And for you to say, oh, I'm not playing that game is to deny a truth.
Right. All right, you're in a group of people you've never played with before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're all gamers. Okay, they're all good gamers.
Sure.
No beginners.
Yep.
5 play. You never played with them before. You're never going to play with them again.
Mm-hmm.
You are in the king-making position. What do you do?
I can't make it.
You king-make. How do you? But who? You just personality. Who you like more? You give the win to the person you've enjoyed their presence with more.
I would give the person.
You'll never see these people again. One game. It's at a convention.
I would reward the person who played best.
Okay, so you're Jon Snowing it. You'll Jon Snow it in that situation.
If I know nothing, like I would. I think that's integrity of the game, right? That comes to what that is. I've lost. Here's a situation where someone else is going to win. I take it back. There is a possibility that someone super snivels.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was going to get to that next. That was my next example. Okay, we're playing all 5 of us.
Yep.
Okay, 5 people in our game group, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's your 5 favorite people in the game group. You know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
Okay, I don't know who I'm talking about, but you do. I don't know if I'm there.
Okay.
In my head, I'm there. In your head, I might not be. Your 5 favorite people in our group. You're all playing a game together. Someone's had a really bad day.
Really bad day.
Really bad day.
Yeah.
Do you kingmake for them? Only in the end, not throughout the whole game. I'm talking they're tied for the lead with someone else, and your action could decide who wins.
It depends on who it is. And here's the case. You ready?
Yep.
If it's Tom, who's had a really bad day, I would kingmake for him.
Oh, okay, that's sweet.
He's
your brother-in-law.
Well,
and you love him.
Yeah, but only because here's the meta.
Yeah.
Because he'll feel bad about it.
Oh, that's the true meta.
He goes like, oh, he
let
took
me win.
He took. I was so weak that he took mercy on me.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Yeah, he licked my shoe. That's another thing. Like, does it feel good to Are you actually denying the victory from somebody by handing it to them? I could see a case to be made where somebody king makes for me, and I'm like, please don't. I'm asking you to step back because I can win on my own. And you know what? Me and the person that are fighting for first right now, we have a rivalry.
Yeah.
And it's a fun one.
That's right.
And I want to win on my own terms. I don't want that person going, well, you only won because somebody else gave you the victory, right?
Oh, see,
Do you back down in that case? I think there's a case to be made. If I went, Paul, I want to win on my own terms and know I won. I think I have a chance. I think it's 51-49 right now in favor of me. I'm asking you to just not get involved. Let us fight this out.
If it were you, I would not get involved. Okay. But, but there are people in our group who I would go, you know what? I'm going to diminish this for you.
Do you think it's morally okay to ask for that? I mean, because you're basically saying, I'd like you to stop playing the game so I can have fun.
I think you should, is it morally? Yeah, I think you can ask for anything.
Sure.
But I think in this particular case, it's in the gray. It's a little, like what you're saying is like, you lost.
Yeah.
You're not in this.
Which is rude on its own. So what if the person doesn't think they've lost? What if they're like, no, I haven't? You're like, no, you have.
What they don't know they lost.
Right.
And you go like, just step. You're like, this is round 2. You're gone.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's the thing. How far back do we go?
Exactly.
It could start at the beginning of the game. We sit down. You've lost this game. Why? Because I'm really good at it.
That's right. I mean, like, imagine that at Age of Steam. Like, if we were to play like that, someone, I'm doing well, but everyone else at the table goes like, oh, you're so dead.
Yeah. Well, in that case, Kingmaking doesn't come into it because Kingmaking is always, you have to know you can't win or else it's not real Kingmaking.
Exactly.
Of course, if you think you have a chance, then you're not Kingmaking. You're playing your best.
But this is to say, like, when to ask someone, like,
then
step down.
Then yes, I think you have to wait till they have realized they have lost.
And here's the thing that is
because that's a form of sniveling too.
It is a form of sniveling. Like I'm never comfortable asking that because there are people in our game group. There was a guy who was in our podcast. Like he left. What was his name?
Oh yeah, musician.
Was he a musician? I can't even remember.
I think so. Albert.
Oh yeah. Like we love you, Alfred. He would play in such a way that like he is like a cloak to me. Like I don't know what for everyone else, but like when I play with Alfred, I cannot figure out what he's doing for whatever reason, and then all of a sudden he comes in. I think he's losing, and then all of a sudden he wins, and I go like, I don't know how. It would be bad of me to go, Alfred, you've lost. Sure. Can you just bow out right now?
No, totally bad.
So
because you might be wrong too.
Exactly. Like I'm. It's tough.
Anything else to say on Kingmaking, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately what you really want to do, just like tips for this, because as a person who does it probably the most in our group, like you really need to know your group. It's like a stand-up comic. Like, if you know your crowd, you can get away with a lot of stuff that might not fly in, another comic might not be able. And so know what your group can bear, and if you're not that savvy and you don't want to burn the world, like maybe the maximize your score is the best route for you.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, remember that you're playing a social game as well.
Totally.
So that's the thing. Like, I would not go and say never Kingmake. Just consider when you do.
I think that's a great. I look, between this and the Sniveler, I think we've brought up two really interesting parts of every game group.
Yep, like, you're going to have
that
these
don't
things.
Get discussed enough. That I think are worth. That don't have right answers or wrong answers, but are you're going to have to deal with them, and they're worth debating and discussing.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're. I'm glad that we coined Sniveler. Kingmaker is out there. But
Sniveler's ours.
Sniveler, yeah,
and it's real.
It's a. If
you didn't listen to our episode on sniveling, it was 2 episodes back with Alfred on the Black Angel episode, and we had a great debate on sniveling and what it is. So check that out if you didn't hear that.
Yeah,